Hello everyone, forget about the intro. There is something deeply important that we need to talk about today. You know what? I am offended. I am so offended by something that's coming soon, and you know what? We need to talk about it. It's a big problem, and so if it's a problem for me now, it's a problem for you because I say so. So yeah, Halloween. Who knew? Who knew that you were appropriating my culture by taking your kids out on Halloween? Well, guess what? You know what? I'm offended, and since I'm offended, that means I'm right. I know how this works. I've seen it before. So, yeah, stop appropriating my culture. Halloween came from the ancient Celtics, and yeah, you need to stop it. Hashtag cancel Halloween. Hashtag stop my cultural appropriation. I'm done with this. Forget this. You know what? Wait, what's that? You can't appropriate from white people? What the Well, howdy there everyone, and welcome to my YouTube channel, Meet Me in the Center. My name is Andrew. No Shadow today. He's out in the living room. But how many people watching that introduction actually thought that was real? I hope very few of you, but I'm sure I fooled some people, so go figure. I just wanted to say happy Halloween to everyone. This year I am a Canadian cowboy, thrown together with convenience and all the laziness of a Halloween costume that probably no one's going to see anyway. I'm not going to any parties or anything like that, so I thought I'd wear it for you guys and you guys could see it. The Canadian cowboy. Yeah, so it is true actually that Halloween originally comes from an ancient Celtic festival. It's called Samhain. That is not at all how you spell it. I'm going to put it up here somewhere. Samhain. So happy Samhain. Now it's just a little brief explanation of what it was essentially. So the ancient Celts believed that light and darkness were mutually exclusive to each other. So, for instance, a person could not be good and evil based on individual actions that person might take. Instead, well, they were either good or evil. They couldn't be anything in between. The first writings about this ceremony and festival were from the 9th century, but it's probably much older than that. Basically, they believed that right around when we celebrate Halloween at this point, they believed that the time of the darkness in the year, so they divided the year into two. The first half of the year is light, the second half is darkness. So like darkness would go from like, you know, into the like November, December, January, February, March type of thing, and then it would be light for the rest of the year essentially. And they believed that at this time when darkness starts, the spiritual world became visible to humans, and it is a time where the living and the dead could mingle together. And so they believed that you needed to collect your crops and your harvest before Samhain, because mischievous spirits might damage your crops. On top of that, you were also expected to leave out offerings of your harvested food to placate these spirits. So little mischievous spirits running around, and you placate them by giving them an offering so they go away and bug the next house. Sounds a little familiar, doesn't it? Interestingly, they would also take vegetables and other things that they grew, like pumpkin and squash, and hollow them out and put small fires in them to represent the good magic of the sun or the light. Remember, they separate the light and the dark, and they would shine those to protect their harvested food stores through the dark halves of the year. So yeah, like carving pumpkins and lighting a fire inside. What a crazy idea. I mean, thankfully we don't do that. Oh, wait. This did eventually become a Catholic tradition as well. The one thing that the Catholic Church, I must say, that did very, very well was that instead of telling people, oh, you can't celebrate this anymore, they basically included their traditions into the Catholic traditions and tweaked them to convert them more into a Christian view. So Samhain basically became All Hallows Eve Day, and eventually Halloween as the day before All Saints Day. And basically the church kept the idea of warding off evil spirits with jack-o'-lanterns and giving offerings so as to appease the Celts and make their transition into Catholicism easier. Interestingly, they did this for Christmas too. You will be amazed at how many of the Christmas traditions you know have very pagan origins. I'll be making a video about that closer to Christmas. So as for cultural appropriation and Halloween, that was just jest at the beginning. I could care less. I don't care if you take your kids trick-or-treating or not. You know, like that's up to you. That's your choice. You have your reasons. Go for it or don't. Why does that concern me at all? I appreciate that something from my heritage is still, a tradition is still happening from my heritage. And really the only reason it's still happening is cultural appropriation. So, sorry, that's the difference between cultural appreciation and appropriation. When it's convenient, it's appreciation. When you don't want them to do it, it's appropriation. But hey, maybe you kind of have an idea of what I think about cultural appropriation. Personally, I think borrowing from cultures is not in and of itself a bad thing. It can go overboard. I don't necessarily agree with, for instance, wearing sacred artifacts as a fashion accessory, so like a native headdress, for instance. Maybe leave that alone. I mean, you're not looking cool, in my opinion, anyway, if you're wearing a native headdress, but I understand why they wear it, and I get the traditions and the beliefs and stuff around that, so I'm not saying that they're not cool wearing it, but like anyone else, it's like, you just look like a schmuck. But so even when I was like way more in a more liberal phase in my life, I always thought that cultural appropriation was pure bullshit. It just doesn't make sense. So basically, I think that cultural appropriation is literally just it's a way of trying to control people and their actions through guilt. Oh, you shouldn't do that because, you know, my people suffered and so on and so forth. Here's the thing. First of all, imitation is supposed to be the purest form of flattery. And like when I'm using something, I'm not trying to steal it. I'm not trying to get credit for something that you know, other people have done first. I'm embracing it. I'm enjoying it. I enjoy those things. And what I find most hilarious is, you know, this stuff claims to be progressive, but it's the exact opposite. It's what like the racists wanted in segregation. They wanted everyone to just have their own and do their own and be their own, and they wanted everything separated. It was racist for them. Why isn't it racist for you? Just saying. Yeah, so and it's very interesting, and actually in the intro, the reason I included the fact that white people can't be culturally appropriated, I was reading an article written by a university professor. Oh boy. And essentially, he was trying to explain cultural appropriation, did a fantastic job of just muddying the water, and essentially just said, well, oh, and by the way, if you're white, you can't complain about cultural appropriation because you're white. Is that well? Now, to be fair, he didn't say it was because I'm white. I can't complain about it. So I'm not sure. Is it because I'm white? Is it because white people don't have a culture? Like, what is it? What is it? I don't know. I mean, I understand. I think I understand why they don't want white people being able to claim cultural appropriation. If you drive a car, it was invented by a white person. Now you can claim that that's not technically cultural appropriation. Cultural appropriation is about culture, not about manufacturing or anything like that. But go back and look at cars from the 50s, 60s, and 70s and tell me they weren't works of art. I mean, I know cars look like shit today, but back then, damn, yeah. So So if you're not white and you're driving a car, do you have to stop and tell everyone that's white that, oh, you really appreciate this car and thank them for that? Because essentially that's what this professor wanted me to do with some of the things that I do in my life. Incidentally, if I had a child who was at the university where this professor goes, I'm not going to say his name. I don't want him to give any hate or anything like that. But or the university. But honestly, if my kid was going to that university, I would pay more to send him somewhere else. Just ridiculous. It's a ridiculous concept. And I got a question. Why? So if I'm not allowed to wear like braids in my hair, I know that's been a big one in the past. I mean, it's kind of silly because the type of braids you're talking about are actually called Danish braids, and they were originally used by the Vikings when they went into battle. But yeah, I guess history, right? Who knew? But yeah, no, like if we're gonna divide everything, let's just divide everything up. Let's just decide who gets what, and everyone gets what they get, and then that's it. And you're not allowed to use anything else. Oh, no, because you want to use my stuff, I just can't use yours. Right, got it, okay. Makes sense. Makes perfect sense. And I've got a question for people who aren't white, because white people can cultural appropriate. We can't be culturally appropriated against. So, if you're not white, have you ever made a stir fry and you're not Asian? Did you go and tell Asian people that you were making that stir fry and that you appreciated their learnings and all that stuff? How about pizza? Oh, wait, Italians are white. Never mind. White. Yeah. So it's just. Here's what I think. I think that honestly, if I'm from a certain culture and I think something in my culture is really good, why wouldn't I want the rest of the world learning about that and using that? It's a way of continuing my culture, and not only continuing but expanding. But and the opposite, maybe you don't want that. Maybe you want your culture to be yours. That's fine. My point is just, don't be a hypocrite, and don't use things from other people's cultures either. Because a lot of these people, they claim to want you to not appropriate their culture, but they're fine doing it to anyone else. It's just when it's convenient, right? So I think we can do one of two things here. Let anyone use, whatever hairstyle, eat whatever food, wear whatever they want, and be glad your culture is represented in the world for the world to see. Or let's just make a list of everything and divide it up. Mathematics go to the Sumerians. The Greeks improved it, so did the Muslims, and Isaac Newton and Leibniz did calculus. So yeah, those groups get those things, and no one else can use math in the world. Cars are white people. Sorry guys, I guess you're walking or biking. Oh, I don't know who invented the bike. Ooh, maybe you're walking. I don't know. I mean, you can use horses. Essentially everyone used horses at some point. So yeah, you can go back to that. But yeah, I mean that's my opinion. I think it's just silly. I think cultural appropriation, it's just trying to control, it's trying to guilt, and it's nonsense, complete nonsense. Even when I was more liberal than I am now, I was just like, yeah, okay, cultural appropriation is bullshit. Unfortunately, it's coming out of the universities, and now it's seeping into the real world, and I think we need to start kind of speaking up on it, because I don't know. I think it's ridiculous. The world is supposed to mix and match and combine, and all ideas are supposed to be thrown out there, and the best ones stick and the rest don't. So who cares where the idea came from? If it's a great thing, it's a great thing. And by the way, for people who have claimed people have culturally, or appropriated their cultures rather, if someone is like, let's say for instance that the braids in their hair example that I used before, okay, that's from your culture, fine. I'll forget the Viking and the Denmark braid and all that stuff for the point of this argument. If someone's wearing that in their hair, do you really as a person believe they're like, oh, well, I'm gonna get them by wearing these braids. I'm gonna make them feel angry because this, I'm gonna troll them like that. Or are they thinking, oh, I really like that hairstyle and maybe it would look good on me too, so, And, okay, so let's say a white woman, for instance, uses a hairstyle that is normally for black people. I don't know why hairstyles would be for one fake race over another. Remember, it's just one race, it's the human race. But let's say, for argument's sake, that that's the case. Okay. Let's say the media prints her picture and says, oh my God, she looks beautiful like this. Is that her problem or the media's problem? I'm just saying. Don't go after her for wearing it. Go after the media for not saying that you're beautiful when you wear it. Whereas a white person is beautiful when they wear it. You're targeting, in my opinion, the wrong thing here. But anyway, that's just my opinion. If you have a different one, totally respect it. You're entitled to yours as much as I'm entitled to mine. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video, even if you disagree. And like I say, that's completely fine. If you did, hit the like button, leave a comment, subscribe if you want, and if not, hey, totally up to you. Happy Halloween, everyone. If you go out, be safe. Make sure you check your kids' candy in case there are any evil people out there that have put needles or blades in it. And yeah, until the next video, I hope you have a good day or a good week, and I will see you then. Goodbye.